This is why you can't vote for Donald Trump. This is a bit from CNN, as you can see on the lower left, and one of Donald Trump's supporters basically defending Trump at every turn. So I'm going to play this clip for you, and then I'll make my commentary.
Welcome back to the lead. I'm Dick Tapper. Time now for our politics lead. Donald Trump wanted to kick off the post-Thanksgiving dash to voting season with a bang. 100 African-American pastors standing behind the Republican frontrunner in political solidarity. But what the campaign initially advertised as a public endorsement of Trump's presidential hopes was quickly downgraded into just a private meeting and may have become a trial of sorts for Mr. Trump, as many of the pastors who made the trek to Trump Tower have already said Trump does not represent their views, much less deserve their endorsement. CNN political reporter Sarah Murray is in Macon, Georgia, where Trump will go tonight. Sarah, what happened with this endorsement? It was supposed to be a big deal.
Well, Jake, you're absolutely right. And the Trump campaign blasted it out to reporters as a major endorsement. And even though there was a very scaled back version of that today, Donald Trump still declared it a big success. Trump's splashy endorsement from 100 black pastors quickly fizzling today into a closed-door meeting.
I was told it was an endorsement, and that was fine. Whether it is or not, that's fine. I think having a meeting is a good thing anyway.
That's after a number of the pastors invited said they had no intention of backing the GOP frontrunner or even attending the meet and greet.
If you talk down to women, if you talk down to documented immigrants, calling them rapists, and then Black Lives, get them out of here. No, you can't represent me, so I don't even need to hear your platform.
Vin said he came to talk with Trump, nothing more.
It's really incumbent upon me to take advantage of the opportunity to query him about exactly the types of things we should expect from a potential Trump administration. I'm not here to endorse Mr. Trump. I am here to have a dialogue.
The pastor's caution and outright criticism comes as Trump faces scrutiny for retweeting a racially charged message and suggesting a Black Lives Matter protester deserved to be roughed up at a Trump campaign rally. Others attending today's meeting said they would attempt to convince their colleagues to support Trump.
Anybody that knows Donald Trump personally knows that he's not a racist. He's provided more jobs for minorities, for Mexicans, for African Americans. He's exactly what not only the African American community needs, but what America needs.
Now that Pastor Parsons, had all of his financial authority with his own church stripped for inappropriateness. So, and that's just an example of one black pastor that's in Trump's pocket.
Trump's campaign originally promoted the meeting as an endorsement event, only to walk that back. Today, Trump said he saw love in the room and walked away with a few endorsements.
We actually didn't think we were going to be having a press conference, but we all thought it was such a good meeting we would do that, and we have many, many endorsements that came out of the meeting.
Yeah, I want to see how many endorsements actually coming out of that meeting. That black pastor was on his right. Is also a Trump supporter, and he's obviously in Trump's pocket already.
Trump's also facing scrutiny for repeatedly insisting he saw large crowds of people celebrating in New Jersey on 9/11.
I've had hundreds and hundreds of calls and tweets of people that saw it, and plenty of people saw it.
Yeah, plenty of people saw TV with people celebrating overseas, but not here.
There were crowds of people celebrating in New Jersey when the Twin Towers fell. But you can see, even though it lacks substance, why Trump continues to say it. It is certainly something that riles up his supporters. Jake?
Sarah Murray, thanks so much. Let's talk about Mr. Trump's bid for the Republican nomination with the Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, Michael Cohen. Sir, thanks for being here.
How are you?
Good to see you. Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So just clear this up. It's not the hugest deal in the world, but the campaign did initially describe the meeting with the African-American pastors as an endorsement.
You certainly are right about that. It's not the hugest deal in the world. I think there are much bigger issues
Absolutely.
going on
But
in the
just
world.
what happened? Why the confusion? Why the confusion?
Well, there was as Pastor Darrell Scott, who was one of the organizers, said today, there was a misstatement, there was a confusion between his group and the Trump campaign in putting out the endorsement. What ended up happening was exactly what we were hoping was going to happen. Many people endorsed Mr. Trump. Others left the meeting with a great feeling of love and a great feeling of mutual respect between the parties, and they are now going back to their respective churches to pray upon their decision.
All right, fair enough. I want to ask you about this claim, Mr. Trump saying he saw thousands and thousands of Muslims in New Jersey cheering as the Twin Towers came down on 9/11. Now, media organizations, left, right, and center, have searched for any footage of this. No one has produced even a still photo. The former New Jersey Attorney General, John Farmer, who was on the 9/11 Commission, says his office heard the same rumor at the time. They investigated it. They found nothing. Farmer says, quote,
how come I'm under the impression that the FBI had detained quite a large number of people? And even over this weekend at a function that I was attending, I had a significant number of people turn around and say it wasn't just taking place in Jersey City, it also took place on Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah, and see, that's called crowd mentality. Once one person says something and another person happens to pick it up, next thing you know, everybody's basically saying that they saw something that nobody actually saw.
Brooklyn.
I just want to ask you, detaining people and terrorist suspects or whatever happened with the FBI,
people don't normally get detained because they're sitting and having an ice cream at their local ice cream shop. They were clearly doing something which gave enough cause to the FBI within which to detain people.
It's a separate issue, sir, but the basic question is this. How do you explain that there's no evidence, no video evidence for what Mr. Trump claims he saw on television? How do you explain that?
I'm not so sure that that's true, and I've worked for Mr. Trump now for a long time, and I can tell you that Mr. Trump's memory is fantastic, and I've never come across a situation where Mr. Trump has said something that's not accurate.
He's got to be kidding. But we're going to continue on with this one because in this line, he just said that Mr. Trump's memory is fantastic. Now, just keep watching this video because you're going to see where he's going to turn around and say that Trump can't possibly remember all the thousands and thousands of people that he's met. But then that gets debunked because of this one person with the disability that Trump actually mimics. And if he had never met the person and didn't know that he was disabled, why would he mimic him? But let's continue.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously.
All right, well, there is no video of this is all I'm saying. There's no video of this, and you would think that by now somebody would have come forward and said, I mean, you have a lot of supporters out there. You're the Republican frontrunner.
You have a lot of people on Mr. Trump's social media saying, I saw it with my own eyes. But then again, look, here's the problem. The problem is that the accusers, meaning the mainstream media, no matter what Donald Trump says, they're going to try to refute to the best of their ability, and it's just not working. That's really the problem.
You don't think that there are conservative media outlets out there who want Donald Trump to win, who want Donald Trump to be the next president, who would desperately love to put this up on their video, this video on their websites or on TV?
And they put up other things which corroborate Mr. Trump's statement. No, but at the end of the day, you're talking about there are Christians that are getting their heads chopped off. There was a photo of a Christian woman who was killed by having a cross basically rammed through her head. We have our president off somewhere talking about climate change.
He's deflecting.
We have a very serious issue in the United States, according to the FBI, that there are Islamic terrorist groups, ISIS-linked groups in every single state in this country. And we want to talk about whether or not that there were 1,000 people or 2,000 people that were sitting there and cheering. Right, or you have thousands of people on Mr. Trump's social media that attest to it.
All right.
Are you calling all of them liars?
Yes.
I don't know who you're talking about. You're talking about people on Twitter. But let me move on because obviously I have gotten as far as I can with this line of questioning. I do want to ask.
And at the end of the day, this line of questioning is